Okay. My cancer journey started in September of 2004, so that's over 8 years ago.
So 9 years ago, diagnosed with breast cancer. And I was thinking, how is it possible? I'm a nurse, so I'm still trained along the same lines as doctors are.
Sure. When he did the operation, what they discovered was that it was cancer in the head of the pancreas, cancer in the large intestine, cancer wrapped around the portal vein, and 20 metastases in the liver.
Oh my God. And I'm very grateful for Paul sharing this information because I was dyslexic all my life.
So the specialist said, well, it looks like you've been given your life back.
My cancer is HER2 positive, so it's a very fast-moving breast cancer.
When I did the show in 1991 with David Suzuki, his mother-in-law showed up at my front door with his wife, and she was in a wheelchair weighing about 300 pounds with MS. And on the fatty acids and everything, I guess it was a year later, she'd lost over about 100 pounds, Gary, and was out of a wheelchair.
And I was diagnosed with colorectal cancer, and I had surgery to remove the tumor and lymph nodes. And the surgeon was sure he got it all, but when the pathology report came back, 1 out of 29 lymph nodes was cancerous. So, but you know, prognosis still looked good. He said you just have to do 6 months of chemo, and I had 25 radiation sessions, and yeah, 4 months into the chemo, I couldn't walk anymore, and he said, well, you know, about 1.5 years, 2 years to live. And I said, no, I need at least 5. I said, you don't understand, I need 5 years. He looked right at me and says, you're not going to get it. I started this awful, god-awful chemo where, you know, 4-hour drip and 24-hour fanny pack, you know, wear it at home type thing. And they gave me 5 intensive palliative radiation. I decided to try Reiki treatment, and Reiki master Susan Nicholas was there, and it was her last day, and I was her last client, and I told her my woes, and she gave me information to listen to Paul speak, and I thought, what do I have to lose? I already tried a naturopath, he did nothing for me. I was set up at home for palliative care. I was using a walker, I had the raised toilet seat, I had the shower thing, I had nurses coming in, and I mean, I knew, you know, I knew that I was dying. So I just went, never forget it, May 26th, 2005, Navy Street, the Oakville Library on Navy Street. So I dragged myself in with my walker and a friend and listened to Paul, and I thought, what do I have to lose? I mean, to me it made a lot of sense. I didn't, mind you, I didn't understand a lot of this. That's my biggest problem there. But anyway, it just made sense to me, and I thought, what do I have to lose? So I went on the supplements, and within 2 weeks, I could walk without my walker.
Wow.
I had a mean limp, mind you, but I could walk without my walker. The color started coming back into my face. I was down to 90-some pounds. My girls were like, wow, you know, they said, Mom, you're looking better, and, you know, looking better. And my hair started coming in, and I just, you know, I felt, you know, pretty good. I mean, I'm thinking, wow, this is pretty decent. And he had told me it's going to take 3 months. So I called Paul. His exact words to me were, Joey, if you don't get off of the morphine and the OxyContin, you're going to die. And I knew he was right, because even though I was feeling better, I just had gotten results back of another bone scan, and I had a spread to my neck and my left rib cage. Slowly but surely, everything turned around, and test after test, there would be something, like first just plateaued, no more, no less. The next 6 months of the bone scan was gone from the neck, then it was gone from the ribs, and all that at the same time, the sacral area, which was disgusting on a bone scan, there was all new bone growth there, and the tumor had shrunk, and I was doing all kinds of stuff that I thought I'd never do again in a million years, you know. I'm just so grateful for having met Susan, like a couple of us refer to her as our garden angel, and then there's the savior here. I try to pay it forward as much as I can. I talk to a lot of sick people, and some listen, some don't. The ones that listen are here, the ones who don't are not here anymore. I ate pretty well, but I was also under an awful lot of stress. I had a lot of stress. And
Stress shuts down this enzyme.
yeah. And
Just
and-
like sugar, just like
Yeah.
aging, just like trans fats, processed oils. So you have to
And
get to
that was my
understand
life too.
what creates the blockages
That's right.
to have this happen and why this stuff is so powerful.
Yeah.
Okay, this is Yasmin now. You've heard those other stories? Listen to this one. Whoa! Baby!
My journey started in 2001. When he did the operation, what they discovered was that it was cancer in the head of the pancreas, cancer in the large intestine, cancer wrapped around the portal vein, and 20 metastases in the liver.
Oh my God.
Doctor says if we cut anything, you'll just die. You bleed to death, right? So what he did is they just closed me back up and basically said you have 6 months to live, and they sent me to palliative care. And that's where I met my angel, Susan, who gave me a Reiki and saw me. I was really weak and tired. I barely climbed up the stairs. I looked 20 years younger than I was when I was 40. Now,
Wow.
You look 40 now.
yeah, and
Can you bottle it and sell it?
Yeah.
there it is. Anyways, from these supplements I've been taking, the cancer has shrunk another 50% without any medical treatment. And the doctors are checking into my case to find out what am I doing.
Right.
So I told them what I'm doing, but they say no.
Yeah.
Can't be.
No.
Yep.
Yeah, so as I'm getting stronger, I do
Yeah.
get a lot of benefits from
You're
it.
gonna get me in there to speak to them about fatty acids?
I'm trying.
Okay.
But thanks to Susan and Joey for bringing me out to the meeting, and Paul, I'm who I am today.
Excellent.
Good for you.
Thank you.
So 9 years ago, diagnosed with breast cancer. The story wasn't good. Out of the 5 parameters they give you for life expectancy and so on, I was only good on 1. And that was because it was estrogen positive. They could give me Arimidex or some estrogen blocker. But I had HER2 knew it was estrogen positive. The grade of the cancer was deadly as well. Blah, blah, blah. I kept all this information to myself. But it didn't sound good. But I was undeterred. I knew I was going to beat it. I just didn't know how. So I started chemotherapy. Went to Wellspring, met Susan. And she put me in touch with Paul. Had I had the information beforehand, like way beforehand, I might have made a different choice. Yeah. But at the time, my mind was set. And when you're going through this journey, you're really, even if you're not afraid of the cancer, you're afraid of the stuff that they're telling you.
Yeah, you don't want to go because of what they're telling you.
Yeah, anyway. So I took the breasts off, and then I listened to Paul, and it started, I was thinking, how is it possible? I'm a nurse, so I'm still trained along the same lines as doctors are.
Sure.
How is it possible that these fats can turn these cancer cells around, that they become good, healthy cells again? Because I was hearing these stories, and I didn't believe it, so I came to more than one session. But it started to make sense, because he described things like the prostaglandins, and I knew about this stuff, again, because I'm medically trained, so, and it made sense when he talked about the cell membrane. I knew this stuff, so it made sense to me. And it was that reason that I started on the fats and the other products that we take here. So I went through radiation. I'd gone through chemo, went through radiation, taking the fats, never had a burn, never really suffered because of it. And and never had the lung tissue burn. I had an x-ray a year later that proved that my lungs were still healthy looking, and I've been on them ever since.
When I did the show in 1991 with David Suzuki, his mother-in-law showed up at my front door with his wife, and she was in a wheelchair weighing about 300 pounds with MS. And on the fatty acids and everything, I guess it was a year later, she'd lost over about 100 pounds, Gary, and was out of a wheelchair.
Yeah.
And how
They had
long?
her on prednisone.
And they had her on prednisone and all these other things, right? And here we are, how many years later now?
21.
21 years later, and she still goes up and down the stairs. They showed up at my door one day, and we sat down at the kitchen table, and we took action, and
Yeah, I think what, about 3 hours later? We just,
Yeah.
it was just so interesting what you
Yeah.
were saying at the time. Just
and
flew by.
I'll just leave it there. We're at the kitchen table, and from that point forward, Claudia took charge of her own health. Deserves all the credit in the
Well,
world.
actually, it was Juliana that took charge of my house. She says, I'm not going to lose you, so get it straight.
Is it okay to save a life?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Well, mine was saved, so
Thanks,
why
Claudia.
not, right?
Okay, tell us your story.
Okay, well, last year I was diagnosed with cancer. And of course, it was very devastating at the time. They said I had kidney cancer, which had already metastasized to my pancreas and possibly even my liver. I kind of couldn't believe it. I was in shock for a very long time because that's the best I've felt in a long time. So they said it was about 5 years in the making. Who knows what's going on inside, right? Doesn't
Yeah.
matter what you look like outside.
That's right.
And I was told that I had 2 years to live, possibly 3 with chemo. Yes, we met Paul Beatty, and Paul set me on a course that has saved my life. However, the last CAT scan I had, the specialist, the kidney specialist, was scratching his head saying, well, I don't know what's happened here, but whatever you're doing, keep doing it. So the specialist said, well, it looks like you've been given your life back.
No, I was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2010. It was, I thought it was going to be fairly simple to get through. I go in to have a lumpectomy because they thought they had caught it fairly early as well. And I thought that was going to basically be the end of it. It turned out that I had to go back and have a mastectomy 3 weeks later. Went on chemo as the standard protocol, the 6 rounds of chemo, very aggressive chemo because my cancer is HER2 positive. So it's a very fast moving breast cancer. So it turns out they found a spot on my spine, which they had called now stage 4 breast cancer. So of course, like you, I felt great. I mean, I'm very active. I run a business. I've got young kids. I'm going 100 miles an hour 7 days a week. And truly, I didn't feel like I was stage 4 breast cancer.
People need to understand, whether you decide to do chemo, radiation, or whatever, the fats and the nutrition will protect the healthy cells from the chemotherapy and radiation. This is proven over and over and over again. I can actually give you a list of 8 chemotherapy drugs that basically there's no side effects when you take the fats.
Well, and I worked every day. I didn't lose weight. I didn't have all the other, normal problems that you have. But, I started to investigate a lot more. I mean, Paul was extremely helpful with me. I mean, he was my psychiatrist on top of everything else because every time I turned around, they were putting the fear of God into me. But I put a lot of it down to the fats. I put it down to investigating food. I put it down to exercise, mindset, all of it. It's all so important. What I find, and that's why Paul's been so great with me, it's the tests. It's not actually living through what I've had to live through. It's the constant tests, waiting in that room for somebody to show up with a file that's either going to give me good news or it's going to give me bad news. I said to him, I hate coming here. You make me nervous. I shouldn't feel like this coming into, to see you. You should be happy for me that I look good. But I said, well, then we're all good here. And he said, I'm happy that you're healthy. And I said, great. Can I go now? But anyway, yeah, so that's it for me.
Amazing.
That's great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Great.
Yeah.